And we are live. I'm Rash Outlaw, and you're watching RNN Live. All right. So today's topic is going to be on North Korea and Trump and the progressive left's reactions to all of this. So first off, why don't we have our guests introduce themselves? Let's start with Cass.
Hello, everybody. I'm Kaz Warfox, your weird furry faggot of the day.
All right, Mountain.
Hey everyone, I'm Veteran Mountain Man. I'm up in the Pacific Northwest.
All right, and Putsa.
Hi, I'm 18 Putsa, currently not a North Korean spy.
Are we sure?
Shit!
All right, as I said today, we're going to be talking about the North Korean summit. So I have a few articles that we can go through. Would anyone like to read any of them?
You're not going to have any luck on my phone.
All right, I can start it off. Let me go. It's from The Hill. All right. North Korea. Trump agreed to step-by-step approach to denuclearization. North Korean state media reported Tuesday that President Trump and North Korean leader Kim Jong-un agreed to adopt a step-by-step approach to denuclearizing the country. Kim Jong-un clarified the stand that if the U.S. Side takes genuine measures for building trust in order to improve the DPRK U.S. relationship. I know what that means.
That's the Democratic People's Republic of North Korea, DPRK.
Yeah, except it's not any of that.
It really isn't, but that's what they call themselves.
The relationship with the DPRK2 can continue to take additional goodwill measures of next stage commensurate with them, the Korean Central News Agency said in a statement, according to South Korean news agency Yonhap. I think that's how you pronounce it. The statement comes just hours after Trump and Kim's historic summit on North Korean nuclear weapons. The two world leaders signed an agreement after the meeting committing the U.S. to unspecified security guarantees in the return for denuclearization. Let's hope that actually happens, of course. Okay, Kim Jong-un and Trump had the shared recognition to the effect that it is important to abide by the principle of step-by-step and simultaneous action in achieving peace, stability, and denuclearization of the Korean Peninsula, KCNA said in the statement Tuesday. Trump expressed his intention to halt the U.S.-South Korea joint military exercise, which the DPRK side regards as provocation over a period of goodwill dialogue between the DPRK and the U.S. Offer security guarantees to the DPRK and lift sanctions against it, along with advance in improving the mutual relationship through dialogue and negotiation, the statement continued. Trump had agreed to halt joint military exercises with South Korea after the North Korean summit. The U.S. military said after Trump's announcement that it had not yet received guidance on ending training exercises with South Korea, and South Korea said it needed to determine the precise meaning of the announcement.
Yep, this sounds exactly like I was expecting, man.
Now, what is your view? Since you're a veteran, you'll know more about this. Is this a good thing, a bad thing?
So I would love to see the Korean War end. I would love to see North Korea denuclearize and the Korean Peninsula reunified under a real republic or democracy, like what South Korea has. It's not going to happen. Not anytime soon. The Kim family have got the people up in North Korea believing that they are divine. I mean, for crying out loud, little kids are taught he doesn't defecate because he is divine. I mean, literally, these are things they teach their kids. So I'm hoping this is a step in the right direction. But I mean, I remember in the early 2000s when we thought we were going to possibly breach denuclearizing North Korea. I remember in the late 90s when we thought we might get it. I had family that served in Korea, and they talked about it constantly, wanting to end the Korean War, denuclearize everything, or de-weaponize everything. I just don't know that it's going to happen anytime soon.
Understandable.
I mean, there's a certain level of crazy that just becomes uncontrollable.
Oh, yeah. Although I do think this is the farthest we've ever gotten to some kind of agreement with North Korea.
Oh, I applaud this. I think it's great. I just don't think we're going to get as much out of it as we're hoping.
Perhaps not, but we'll see.
Yeah.
Hopefully there will be some denuclearization.
Hopefully. Now, I will tell you this. I know that CBS News Radio out here is talking about this like it was absolutely nothing and that Trump gave up a bunch of concessions for no reason. They're basically trying to paint it as though Trump lost the whole agreement and Kim got a lot of legitimacy on the international stage. I don't necessarily think that that's true either. I think realistically, this frames President Trump as somebody who can actually do international negotiation and not set off World War III.
Well, considering the fact he's a businessman and he's had talks in Asian countries for oops, sorry, something's going in my ear. Stupid ad is playing.
Essentially, one of the few presidents that's taught a bit more than being a moral cheerleader.
Oh yeah, he's a businessman. He's made deals in Asian countries and other with a bunch of Asian countries and within China and everything. So he knows how to make deals.
Agreed. And that was one of the reasons I voted for him. But even knowing how to speak the lingo doesn't mean that you're necessarily going to get what you want.
Sure.
And so what it really depends on is how much is the Kim family willing to give up of that semi-phenomenal divine power that they hold over their people.
Well, I don't know if they will. I don't think there's going to be any reunification, but maybe there could be a denuclearization, but it's still going to be a communist country and everything probably for the next 50 years at least.
Which is really sad because even if we denuclearize North Korea, we're still sitting on the brink of conventional war over there. I mean,
yeah.
The demilitarized zone has some of the most verdant, green, lush, beautiful countryside in existence. And the reason being is because there are man-shredding machine guns pointed at each opposite side. And shots ring out the second somebody is seen in that area and not expected. I mean, that's how tightly that border is controlled. So I would like to see that go away. I'd like to see that pseudo wall disappear. Kind of like we saw the wall come down in the 80s in, Soviet Germany.
Yeah. Regardless if it is peace or not, at the very least, it's the step in the right direction for once in a long-ass time.
Oh, I don't disagree with that, Cass. And I'm happy about this. I really am. I find myself insanely pessimistic about serious results.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and I understand that, especially when we're talking about Kim Jong Un here. This guy's fucking off the walls crazy, and
Oh
his
yeah,
entire family is
I mean
fucking crazy.
he's like bunny rabbit shagging crazy, you know. I
Yeah,
mean, just out there. I mean, for crying out loud, the man brought his own mobile poo car to the conference.
Ew.
Yeah, did you guys not hear about that? It was all
No, I
over the
did
news
not.
in Oregon. Yeah, in his cavalcade, in his motorcade, there is a car that has a portable toilet system that is just for Kim.
Yeah. So I'm gonna give my thoughts on it if you don't mind.
Go ahead.
All right. So this is what I think, especially about North Korea. No matter what you overhype yourself to be, no matter what you pretend to be, no matter what you teach your people to be, the higher ups know they're in the following situation, and this has been the burden of North Korea, especially from an economic side. They're a wedge between two economic powerhouses. There would be the pseudo Chinese economic system and the Western civilization, and it exists to be a wedge. And in this wedge, especially due to the efforts of the South Korean government, a lot of the populace, especially the, let's say, pseudo, I wouldn't say upper class, but there's a black market there, and their black market is actually by the government. And there are more civilians within the country. They
You're
have
kind of roboting there.
Ultron, watch out.
going to kill
okay,
everybody.
can you hear me now?
That's better.
Okay. Shit. Yeah, as I was saying, that as much as we can call Kim crazy, he's smart and crazy. He was very well educated, and in the words of Donald Trump, he is a very talented individual. You don't gain that kind of status of power without being an idiot. And I honestly think a lot of this, and because King, when I actually saw the press conference himself, he was sweating. He was sweating like a fat man at the gym because he was fucking nervous.
I know.
Yeah, and I
To be
honestly
fair, man,
think to some extent, I don't know the level of what it will change, but from the future, it will certainly change as they're now facing pressures from a presidency, well, that doesn't put up with their shit, realize the severity of the situation that they're facing, and a more aggressively Chinese aggression, which has been the largest backer of the wedge state in general. I think that we may not see these fantasy utopian levels of change, but maybe down the future, especially amongst the decades, if it keeps going on this change and this rate, we'll see kind of a pseudo system like China. There's a lot of investors. Yeah, a quasi. It's still a socialist government, but it's not a socially. Like it's argued that China in some places is more economically friendly than U.S., but it will be more of a kind of more of an economically friendly socialist state. And one way or another, the political system within Korea is changing just due to historical financial pressures and anger from both sides within this wedge for it to change one way or another.
I get where you're going with that. I do.
Yeah.
And I don't think that Kim is an idiot.
Yeah.
What I think is he has such levels of power that people will literally suicide themselves for him if he commands them to.
Yeah.
That's a lot of power. You can't be dumb and control that kind of power. He controls it very well. The problem I have is I don't think he's willing to step back that power. And giving up his nuclear weapons, really giving them up, would be stepping that power back.
I don't think he would give up. Oh, go ahead.
Even if it was seen as an equal exchange, it would still be stepping back that almost divine power that he claims to have.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, the thing is, especially about a cult of a personality, like, for instance, Nazi Germany, no matter how much you can prop yourself to be, your country is vulnerable. Your country lacks resources. And no matter how much, the higher-ups know the severity of the situation, even if the collective populace below them doesn't. And he's making these decisions clearly out of fear. Just how nervous, how sweaty he was. He's clearly seeing something in some degree that's making him make choices that he wouldn't normally make.
I don't disagree with you on that. And I think part of it is the fact that his country is starving. I mean,
Shit.
China has rejected 4 of the last 7 shipments of coal from North Korea. And because of that, they haven't been able to get food.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a
go ahead.
huge blow. That's a huge
Yeah.
blow to their economy.
Yeah. And what I think they're going to do is, I don't think they're going to give up on their position of power, but I do think for their country's survival and his position, he's going to economically change the system slowly but surely. He's going to give in to demands for his own survival. If that makes any sense.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure we could even attempt to get anything more than maybe the denuclearization at all.
Well, I don't think so much the denuclearization. I think it stands towards other sanction, such as their extreme communist position. It isn't very beneficial, and they know this now more than ever. So I think things will economically change for its populace, although its military positions, like China, will not change.
Well, to be fair, China's communist stances haven't changed as much as you might think. 174 Chinese have been accused of capitalism in the past 3 years. Many of them executed. A lot of them fled to the United States and Canada.
Yeah.
I would say China's more of a fascist country rather than a communist country now, because it's gone more corporatist.
They have slid more fascist, and that tends to happen with communism.
Yeah.
That doesn't meet its total end objective, and that's one of the reasons I really think communism will never actually exist unless we can end scarcity.
Because it never works.
Because it can't exist as long as there's scarcity. Exactly, Cass.
Well, that's just that. It's a ridiculous moral system. It's like a Jesus Christ level of standards, which it works that you can't trust people with freedom and responsibility, and collectivization through the community to judge you like a number is the only way to achieve this utopia. And that's by taking away any nationality, any state of capitalism, anything that contradicts
any ability of
Karl
choice.
Marx. Yeah. And Karl Marx's perception of this fantasy is all that matters.
Yep.
And nothing outside of that can exist. And so that's why people who use Marx's moral system are often socialists. And their excuse of being socialist is to promote their communist system.
Yep.
And this is part of the reason why China, you don't be the second, best economic power by having such economic restrictions.
Well, I don't know that China has the economic power that they're touted, man.
They certainly have a lot of it, I would argue. Just
example, they spent $1.5 billion building a city that nobody lives in. I think I think some of their numbers are cooked. Because Russia did that too during the Iron Curtain. People were talking about how Russia was so powerful. When the Iron Curtain fell and we actually looked at real numbers, we found out that Russia was nowhere near as powerful as we thought they were during that time frame. And remember, China is still in that position where they control everything that comes out of China. It's nearly impossible to get good information out of China that isn't government directed.
And the information that you do get out of China, they're getting super Orwellian. They're updating their technology to, let's say, morally document their citizens, to give them point towards, for like spatial recognition technology. And as of late, and this happened near Brexit, nobody was talking about this, the Chinese government was caught with its prisoners, especially Tibetans and people people who are religious in general, but the minor populations they can take advantage of, and they were cutting them up and selling their organs for profit. Behind people's back.
Oh, yeah. So, like I said, I'm not so sure just how much we can trust the numbers coming out of China. I mean, even if you look at like the amount of Chinese debt, the amount of U.S. debt that is owned by China.
Yeah.
you look at it and it's $1 trillion. Well, the U.S. is $20 trillion in debt. That's 0.5%. That's not a whole lot of money. If they were that powerful of an economy, wouldn't they be trying to get more?
Maybe. Although the way China critiques a certain section of the Chinese economy, for instance, near its ports, where it's most economically profitable, there are more rich people living in that said area than there is the entire population of the United Kingdom. What they do is they keep a selective population, especially more where it's more economically benefit. That's where they keep their power, their weapons. This is where they build their islands to get more military advantages in the Chinese Sea. And they leave the other half of the population, which is about 1 billion people, to ultimately fend for themselves.
I don't disagree with that, but that's also one of the things, though, that drags down their economy. See, when you intentionally isolate the wealth like that, instead of allowing the wealth to move freely through the invisible hand per, so many free market societist capitalist theories, you actually suppress your ability to grow.
But let's just say for simplicity's sake, they become a democracy. Even if that was unwinded, it would be a monstrous problem ahead of the Chinese people. That other section of war, it's been, especially the population that they isolated, it's been heavily stripped of resources, plagued by massive wars for hundreds of years. That's killed probably more than anyone throughout any other wars or revolutions, such as the Lhasa Revolution, throughout human history. And that, even if it started to invest properly in its capital, would take decades, hundreds of years, maybe, to convert to the economic powerhouse it could have been under more, let's say, U.S. qualities of economic freedom.
Let's use Lockean or Aquinas style concepts, because current economic systems in the United States are borderline fascist at this point, and I would like to see some of that unwinded. Yeah. So let's discuss it more as a Lockean or a true free market type concept, because that would create some of the best growth.
Yeah.
But one of the other reasons I doubt that China is as powerful as it is economically is because of the currency trading of the Chinese yuan. Do you watch the yuan at all? Because I watched the currency market quite heavily. Back in 2012, the Chinese started to let the yuan free float. And at the time, it had been pegged at 6.7 to the dollar. And China decided that they were going to let it float, but they were only going to let it float up to 2% per day, and they could peg the market at any time and stop the movement. Yeah. After 6 months, they revoked the policy. Because every day, the yuan tried to tank.
Yeah. And I would agree that at the end of the day, China is not as, let's say, powerful as they brag to be. Their division of their military alone, that it's 3 factions of military within the same government, that even if they were attacked, they would all be contradicting each other in military strategies. But one thing I will give the Chinese or China credit, especially when it was under Mao, it certainly gave the U.S., I wouldn't say a run for its money, but it put off an impressive offense for which we weren't expecting.
Agreed. And during the Korean War, when China started aiding North Korea, we realized that we couldn't fight the war the way we were initially fighting it. We also realized the same thing in Vietnam when the Chinese started supporting the Cambodians and North Vietnamese. It's part of what caused the collapse in Vietnam. And why we ended up pulling out is because we had severely underestimated the resolve of the North Vietnamese and had misestimated the resolve of the Chinese to support the North Vietnamese.
Yeah. But it's kind of like a quantity versus quality when it comes to both of us. We have endless resources regarding machineries and stuff we can throw at them, and they have a lot of manpower.
They do.
That they just continue to throw at people. But one of the things that, especially in the Korean War, that caught us off guard is that damn winter came in It was so
True.
cold that soldiers that were cut in half or lost their legs and limbs, they were saved because their organs, their blood froze up.
I know. I'm
Yeah.
aware of the land of the frozen chosen. I've had
Yeah.
family that have served in 10th Mountain.
Yeah, an
Um,
absolute hellhole.
yeah, it was. It was.
I would say something, but I don't know a whole lot about what happened during the Korean or Vietnamese War.
Yeah.
Sorry, you got a couple of historians, it sounds like, talking war here, and that just means we've got a whole lot of opinion on it.
Hey, listen, if an actual Vietnam historian or like somebody who's like really fucking educated in this could probably give me a run for my money, but unfortunately I'm a fucking nerd and I spend a lot of time on history.
Oh man, I study history and history of war specifically quite
Yeah.
heavily. My family's been involved in a lot of wars throughout the United States' history.
Yeah.
And even before that, part of what we did when we came here is we had come here as kind of pseudo mercenaries. We had come
That
here to
sounds
kind of
cool.
get new land and start the militias to help secure the frontier.
Were
for
they serving the
towns to
British
start.
Empire?
Some of them were serving the British Empire. Some of them were just kind of freelance and escaping the British Empire.
Yeah.
So
So anyway, I think we deviated to a degree that has not much to do with North Korea. As
Yeah.
much as I would want to have this conversation, it is about North
we can
Korea.
have it. We can have it at another time. So
Yeah.
to be fair, though, also the thing I don't know. I don't know that North Korea is. So North Korea has almost no electricity for its civilian population.
Yeah, if you just look at a map, very small portions have electricity.
And most of that is military facilities and upper level government echelon type areas. I I just don't know that we can use social pressures to help push them forward and actually get them to stand to this decision or this idea.
Yeah, it seems like they've been thoroughly brainwashed if they're willing to stay in those particular kind of conditions without so much as a revolt or question.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the Korean government has been successful in brainwashing their people.
Yeah.
So I will say this about that. It could be vice versa. It could be they want to encourage for their own safety to want to change things up, at least economically, to have a more capable people. I would say, and then China, as incapable as we view it to, they do have a better standing of living, for the most part. At least one section does, and the other half.
Well,
So I do think that they will one day, or will continue to make some kind of effort to change that, at least at some time. And another thing, and this is just a question, are we absolutely certain that they don't know?
Don't know what.
It is a very isolated. How bad they have it. How indoctrinated.
well, considering they can't even get any kind of media from outside of North Korea, not even from China, actually.
And even if they do talk about it, if they talk about it with the wrong person, they can be killed.
Oh yeah, it's summary execution of you, your children, and your parents.
Yeah.
It's one of the reasons I was actually surprised we even got Otto Warmbier back alive, even though he died within a couple of days of us getting him back. The act of theft in the DPRK, you normally don't last 6 months.
Yeah.
Well,
So,
and then another thing, I'm bringing it up. I know they do have collective sources of information that is seeking into the country. For instance, there was a lot of, I think there are Oreo cookies, and they actually started an economy based on these Oreo cookies that were sent into the country. And they had to actually crack down on the Oreos because they were becoming currency.
yeah. Well, to be fair, man, that happens anytime you get some sort of commodity that is new that you can't produce,
Yeah.
they start to become a de facto currency. I mean, look at what happens with gold and silver when you introduce more of it into the populace. Look at what happened with digital currency, you know, Bitcoin, Ethereum, that kind of stuff. It's a commodity, and it has some intrinsic worth in the idea. And the second people start using it in any kind of fashion because one wants it over the other, it de facto becomes currency, because that's all currency really is kind of a marker.
Yeah. And that's why some people suggesting an alternative to its war, rather than nuking it off the face of the earth, they suggest money bombing it. They suggest launching so much shit in it through weather balloon that the economy would have to force to change within itself. Because there are too much of these commodities to keep in check.
See, but the problem with that solution is that in North Korea, only Kim's representatives and his trusted people maintain arms. And so if you weather ballooned, or even, you know, let's say C-130 Hercules drop lifted tons and tons of resources into that country, the military forces could be deployed to confiscate it all. And if you don't give it up, you'd be killed, and they'd take it anyway.
Well, I would just look at the black market again. It's the only country in the world that taxes its black market. So I would think even if a lot of it was confiscated, some of it in the black market would grow much larger. But this has never been tried before. So I don't know the efficiency of it actually working.
Well, it hasn't worked so well in Venezuela or Cuba, because I mean, there are groups sending in resources trying to change what's going on in those countries, and it hasn't really helped. I mean,
well, I would say this: neither were both countries exactly like North Korea. They weren't like this for 50 years.
Well,
so maybe, just maybe.
Venezuela's relatively new, but Cuba's been this way for more than 50 years at this point. They've been this way almost as long as North Korea has.
Yeah.
Almost.
Well, they do have a market. I know at least that. Those Cuban cigars, but I would say maybe Cuba would be a little bit better. They don't have a neighbor. They're on an ocean, and people do buy their products.
Very limitedly.
Maybe.
The big thing that has kept Cuba alive, or that kept Cuba so alive for so long, was the Russian sugar trade, actually.
Yeah. And
Russia
that not being able to kill.
Sugar.
Yeah. Not being able to kill Castro probably helped. Jesus Christ, that man has tried to be assassinated so many times.
Yep.
God, I can't believe the fucking milkshake tactic didn't work. He built a fucking statue about his cow, his hybrid cow. All right. It was, I'll make a long story short. There were cows that were native to Cuba, and he made it was an American cow because he loved milk so much. When the damn things died, he erected a statue for it.
Yeah, I heard about
that. God, we shouldn't put a fucking explosive into it. No, this is what they tried to do. I shit you not. They tried to kill fucking Castro with his goddamn milkshakes. So let's we should probably veer back to North Korea. I just had to get that story out.
Yes. I have one other article we can go over. It's about the Democrats. Would you like to read it, Mountain?
I'll be right back, guys.
Was that?
It's the second one after the Hill. It's from the USA Today.
USA Today one. Okay. So Democrats blast Trump for concessions he granted to the in the U.S. North Korea summit. Oh yeah, I heard about this pretty bad yesterday. Everybody was saying he was going to give up a bunch of stuff, and we're yelling about it. So here we go. Democrat congressional leaders blasted President Trump on Tuesday for granting concessions. Hang on here. I've got an ad playing. There we go. for granting concessions to North Korea's leader Kim Jong-un in exchange for a deal to work towards complete denuclearization of the Korean Peninsula that offered scant details on how to achieve it. As Republican leaders reached with cautious optimism, Democrats said Trump gave up leverage by meeting with Kim and by agreeing so quickly to halting U.S. joint military war game exercises with South Korea. Trump announced the concession after the historic meeting in Singapore, calling the exercises tremendously expensive and very provocative to North Korea. What the United States has gained is vague and unverifiable at best, said Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer, Democrat from New York State. What North Korea has gained, however, is tangible and lasting. By granting a meeting with Chairman Kim, President Trump has granted a brutal, repressive dictatorship international legitimacy it has so longly craved.
Sorry, if I could just interrupt really quickly. International legitimacy, when the fact that President Obama met with the dictator of Cuba.
Oh yeah. Don't forget, Clinton, Bill Slick Willie, met with the dictator in Venezuela, the dictator of Cuba, and tried to meet with Kim. Plus several warlords out of Africa. So
okay, I'm back.
House Minority Leader, Democrat from California, Nancy Pelosi said in a statement, in his haste to reach an agreement, President Trump elevated North Korea to the level of the United States while preserving his regime's status quo. Now, I don't really think we need to go too much further into this because the rest of this is just rehashing what we just discussed.
Yeah, pretty much.
To be fair, holding the meeting didn't legitimize Kim's leadership. What it did is it's trying to work towards some sort of peaceful conclusion. The man's going to have power whether we acknowledge him or not. People follow him like he is divine.
Oh yeah, it's not going to change anything whether we did have the meeting or not with his people. They're still he's God.
If he walks out onto his balcony and says, you, and you, go cut your guts out, they're going to walk off and go stab themselves with their local kitchen knife. You know, the one that they all share.
Assuming they have that kitchen knife. They might have to borrow it from the neighbor.
Yeah, it might be in the next town over, and they have to have it sent to them. I mean, you know.
I would say this. All right, if there's batshit crazy people in the world and you're the fucking president of the United Goddamn States, you want to go talk to these people? I think that's just fair enough to say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At least keep some kind of dialogue or conversation so they can't use that against you. Like all these crazy dictators say, well, they don't even talk to us, you know, kind of mentality. Oh, yeah. They only want war. So at least they can't use that against you. And try to get into these fucking sociopaths' mind. This is how we significantly reduce murders and homicide.
It is. And to be fair, when you've got a seriously repressive dictatorship, a lot of times just reaching subjects of peace and letting his people see that, it can de-escalate tensions, even if nothing happens.
Yeah.
Because they can sometimes save face. Sometimes.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not saying it's an ideal situation in that. I would love to see the denuclearization of Korea. Once again, I'm not holding my breath.
Who knows, you know, maybe with all of this push to make them more economic, push them into economics a bit more so they stop all the commie shit eventually. Probably force them in a situation where the people start tasting what Western civilization is like. And who knows, maybe at worst we just get a proxy war that hopefully might be successful against instead of like instead of like just having nukes being launched at everybody.
Well, Kaz, the problem I would have with a proxy war is very simple. So look at your phone that you've got in front of you.
Okay.
What brand is it?
Let's see, Android.
Okay, it's an Android operating system.
Hmm.
So that means odds are the chip was either made by Qualcomm, Samsung, or Texas Instruments.
Hmm.
You know who?
Not really. No.
What's the brand name?
Samsung.
Then it's a Samsung processor. Do you know where Samsung makes their processors?
So, I don't recall.
Seoul,
Seoul,
South Korea.
South Korea. Okay.
You create a proxy war between North and South Korea. Samsung won't be producing phones.
I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about within North Korea.
Maybe, but
Seoul would likely be threatened. That's no question. It's only like 26 miles from North Korea.
Probably.
yeah.
They'll go out on a revenge path, and then they'll take somebody with them.
Yeah.
I really think that was a bad idea for them to put their capital like right that close.
Well,
to
historically, the capital was there before the war even began.
Yeah.
True, but they could have moved.
Why? That would have actually shown legitimacy to the DPRK if they had moved.
I suppose.
Yeah.
North
plus,
and South Korea.
plus they fought over the damn thing 4 times, I think, in the war.
Yeah, yeah. Seoul exchanged hands several times.
They fought. Did we also fight fucking China for it too?
Well,
China was involved.
China started coming across late in the Korean War to support the North Koreans.
Yeah. And plus, something about a proxy war, I really don't want to be napalming Asians again.
Yeah, I mean, I might sing Napalm Sticks to Little Children, but that doesn't mean I want to see it.
Yeah.
Forgive me, guys, but that's an old military running cadence.
Yep.
I'm just saying, if a war has to happen, which is still a possibility, I would rather have like a proxy war within North Korea rather than getting U.S. troops involved or even South Korea involved.
To be fair, man, if North Koreans start attacking North Koreans, the U.S. Troops on the border are going to end up involved no matter what happens. Because one of the groups will either decide, let's take a retaliatory strike, or they'll try to retreat past the U.S. troops and use them as a shield for some reason. And it'll end up happening anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, the U.S. doesn't shoot people running across the North Korean border to South Korea. It's the North Koreans that do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, so what was the name of that guy who defected from North Korea and they pulled a, I don't know, it was like a foot-long tapeworm out of his dick?
I can't
Yeah.
He like fucking... He like fucking Jason Bourne like across this goddamn DNZ.
Yeah.
I'm fucking impressed.
Wasn't he like an officer or something? I can't remember, but I remember
he was a former DPRK. He was a former DPRK commander. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember he survived getting shot a few times on the way out, and apparently he was full of fucking like parasites when they got him.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
their medical care is.
Well, to be fair, it's some pretty rough terrain on the DMZ. It's really rough.
Yeah,
especially for the North Koreans. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But I just hope somebody memes that videos and put like running in the 90s with the guys doing it. Yeah, or I ran. That song would be fucking great.
So
anyway, do we have any more articles?
No, I think that's pretty much it. I mean, the only other one was still talking about North Korea. Let me think. We could go over the left's reaction to all of this and them basically.
Let me
in a
guess.
sense-
It was.
So the normal person would react like this. Trump and Kim Jong-il had a discussion today. To the left is that fucking Hitler had a discussion with Kim Jong-un.
They acted like it's fucking Hitler talking to Stalin, for fuck's sakes.
Now, guys, that wasn't what I heard. What I heard was, "Oh my God, Trump gave away the kitchen sink and got nothing in return. He's such a bad negotiator." That's what
Not only is he getting fucked by Putin, he has another roommate. All right.
Yeah.
He's been cheating on Putin.
That was pretty much what I was hearing up here in the Pacific Northwest. Was that? Oh my God, he's horrible at negotiation. Look at how horrible he is.
Oh my God, this is more fucking harmful than what he's doing to the economy.
Yeah, pretty much. Never mind the fact that what they don't realize is all he did was postpone the military war games.
Yeah.
The soldiers haven't even received stand-down orders on them yet.
No.
I heard from some of my buddies that were saying, no, they're still packing up.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, geez, I hope somebody told your commanders.
All right, so the commander comes out. Okay, what the fuck you guys are doing? Well, Kim Jong-un and Donald Trump had a discussion today. All right, you, who's the lefty? Fucking Hitler and Kim Jong-un had a discussion today. They told us that we're packing and leaving. Great, now I get to go back to a shitty economy.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and tax breaks.
Jesus.
And you know, and 5% black unemployment. Yeah,
Damn.
Yeah, just horrible, horrible.
The left.
Oh, guys, just posted. Representative Barbara Comstock won the GOP primary in Virginia 10th congressional district.
Now, who the hell is she?
She's a Republican representative from the House legislature, and she was running for the federal legislature in Virginia. Mm-hmm. And she just won it. She just won the GOP primary, so she's going to be going to the main election.
Well, yeah. That blue wave that's been hitting us pretty goddamn hard,
Oh yeah. That horrible blue tsunami. Never mind. Never mind the red sea wall.
Shapiro.
Yeah, it swept him away.
Yeah. By the way, guys, fucking Hitler had a conversation with Kim Jong-un. Or just the worst thing to happen to the Republican Party.
None of these people just.
Yep.
Yeah.
And of course, also today, we in Portland had a protest at Senator Merkley's office in downtown Portland, yelling to stop Trump from denuclearizing Korean Peninsula.
What the fuck? God damn it.
Wow, I would have been shocked if it wasn't for the fact I sort of expected that the whole time.
There was about 20 of them yelling.
We want
and everybody else was just looking at him like they had gone crazy.
Oh my God!
I wish I could have gotten footage, but I was out of the range and I couldn't get back in time.
Yeah, I had a discussion with Rationale before this live stream began about political indoctrination. All right, and this is such a fucking level of political indoctrination. He could save a fucking basket full of puppies, and they will fucking protest it.
Yep. Oh, dude, you have no clue. You haven't been out to like Portland or Seattle, have you?
No, but I'm gonna believe anything you tell me because at this fucking point, it's probably as bad as it is here in Ohio And this is considered centrist.
3 out of 5 people in Portland, Oregon, Seattle, Washington, or Eugene, Oregon will tell you that Ronald Reagan was the worst president ever. Hang on. That his tax cuts destroyed the economy, and that Donald Trump will destroy the economy with his tax cuts, and we need to raise taxes to counteract them. Word is bond.
Dear golly.
They are that brainwashed.
Wow. So let's fight the issue by throwing more taxes in, forcing people to pay up more.
Yep.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah,
God, guys, we should just embrace the greatest ideology ever, and that's fucking communism. All right? Well, where the fuck have you guys been?
In fact, Seattle just apologized for having to remove its business head tax because all the major corporations were going to leave.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, their business head tax was going to fix the homeless population issue. So they were charging companies $200 a head for every employee.
Damn.
That's totally going to go well.
Yeah.
Oh,
Amazon
Jesus.
was about to leave Seattle.
Yeah, this is
They were
giving
looking at
me
other
giving me freaking Californian vibes all over again, dude.
Oh,
Economic
trust me,
Vietnam, quite frankly.
Taz, I'm telling you, I'm headed east, man. You want to come with, get your freaking vehicle together, and you can convoy with us.
Yeah.
We'll meet you at like Medford, and we'll head east.
It's just a good fucking way to explain how they think. It's a lot like this. Johnny, what are you doing? I'm trying to put out this fire as gasoline. Johnny, that's not a good idea. Well, it reminds me of Nazism, so I'm not going to use water. John?
that sounds about right.
Hitler drank water, therefore water is Nazism.
John, where the fuck are your clothes? Well, they remind me of Nazism. John, what the fuck are you trying to do? Well, I'm holding in my shit because it just occurred to me Nazis also took a shit.
Oh man, I got you one better. They dedicated the naked bike ride this year to the homeless population.
Johnny, why are you skin and bones? Because I can't eat because Nazis eat. Therefore, it's Nazism to eat food.
Yep,
Hey, John.
Yep.
Hey, John. Some Nazis also spoke English. John, where's your tongue? Where's your tongue, man? Nazis also garbled.
Oh man.
Jesus Christ. Anyway, what would you guys? Go ahead.
I was going to say you should really hear it when they come after me. I'm a 1776 conservative that speaks German and owns weapons.
Oh my God.
Oh no. Sounds like you give liberals a heart attack just by hearing.
They see me coming and they start cowering. They're afraid I'm just going to start a Holocaust in the middle.
You're a conservative with big guns. Oh no, I'm scared. You just fucking roll up with a big ass fucking truck that guzzles like a shit ton of gasoline.
Well, I drive my Jeep, man. I drive my big ass Jeep.
They just have a fucking heart attack right in front of you.
I got freaking
Wait a minute.
stickers and Uber stickers. I pull up to the fucking airport and the liberals, they cower.
So wait a minute, guys. So just to be clear, not only does he speak German, he believes in more economic freedoms than Nazis. He believes in owning guns unlike Nazis. He believes in Western principle. He's more of a fucking Nazi than Hitler.
Exactly. That's what happens. And he thinks of me. I'm surprised they don't have lynch mobs outside my door regularly. The only thing that protects me is the fact that I wear a mask online.
Yeah. I saw this really fucking funny thing. A lot of lefties get on fucking batshit crazy. Christians I think Jack the Ripper was one of them, and he's saying, Guys, it only killed like 5 fucking people. Like Jim the Socialist murdered 150 guys with a goddamn butter knife.
Yeah.
He's just like standing over there with a pile of bodies. Oh, I didn't even kill these guys. They starved to death before they got here because they believed in me, my ideology.
Yep.
Just like one thing about it. Okay. So some of the shit that the right wing was doing wasn't entirely acceptable, nor would I agree with. But Jesus fucking Christ, Stalin, Hitler, the fucking Soviet Union murdered 100 million people. Where the fuck are you guys?
Well, to be fair, man, from my perspective, Nazism wasn't even right wing. I mean, when you really look at it.
No, I did a video on explaining how it was actually left wing. It was a form of fascism.
Yeah, and the big
the way I view it is it's as socially right in many areas as it can be, but economically and government stances, it's as well as economically would have much more in common with the left and socialist government.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, of course. Then again, I'm an anti-authoritarian right-winger, so they think I'm some sort of weird unicorn, you know?
Yeah.
You don't believe in government authoritarianism. What is wrong with you?
Yeah, about the only thing I want from my government is I want a military to defend the borders.
Yeah.
Maybe police forces, roads, and fire departments. I can do without the rest.
Yeah.
Well, I would also prefer if rape was illegal.
Police forces.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, that's about all I need out of my government. Military, police, fire department, maybe some roads. I'm good with the rest of it. I can handle the rest.
Yeah. I don't know. I would still like a government to vote in. You know, just so I could say, I'm fucking free, motherfuckers. I elected George.
Yeah, but see, we don't need full-time politicians for that kind of government, man. We got to get back to the part-time politician.
Yeah, most fucking people were just like that guy who lived down the goddamn street, and we all liked him, and so we elected him.
Yeah, he thought like everybody else in the neighborhood, and he was more articulate, and so he got elected, and he went and said what your town wanted everybody to hear. That's what it originally was.
Mm-hmm.
Now, not so much.
Yeah. Well, if there is any criticism that I would say maybe, let's say people are anti-government. I wouldn't say anti-government or anti-pro-big government. America is a very big country. That's a lot of people. And that's a lot of economic responsibility we embrace.
Oh, yeah.
Just a lot of influence. It's just a very big fucking place, man. And that's why I agree with the republic system rather than a full-on democracy.
Agreed. Yep. Well, that and the republic is the best way to protect the rights of the minority while still respecting the will of the majority.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know, I don't have a problem with having a republic as a federal government and even as a state government, but I want that republic as small as possible.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because the smaller it is, the easier it is to deal with if it tries to trample people's rights.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Well, just that it ounce more than what it needs. The old saying. But, you know, most republics are good, except for the Soviet Union.
Well, it wasn't really a republic. Neither is North Korea.
Nothing about communism or socialism is remotely a republic.
You know that China's official name for itself is the Democratic People's Republic of China, right?
Yeah.
Because the name is really not trustworthy.
You know what I like is people who are woke and they say, "No, I'm not a Stalinist. I'm a Leninist." God damn it! He only murdered 8 million people to get into power.
Well, not just that, man, but after he went and played with his hobby farms, another 20 million fucking farmers were killed. Because they were too efficient. Yeah, they were too efficient. They were producing too much food and were becoming wealthy. And the other farmers that had been banished from the cities and told to go farm couldn't keep up, and so they came through and they threw those farmers in the gulags.
I think I know what group you're referring to. I just don't remember their names.
Are you sure that wasn't Stalin, or was it Lenin?
I think
Stalin came through and did it a second time.
Oh yeah.
Oh God.
Yeah.
But it started under Lenin.
Are you sure it was like the policy was started under Lenin and then Stalin just enacted on it?
Stalin enacted it heavier, and it went up to like 40 million.
Those atrocities that were committed to the Ukraine.
Weren't they like I can't remember. Supposed to like former soldiers of the war that give like a small plot of land after their efforts when they were under the kingship at the time?
Yeah, they were loyal members of the Tsar's private military forces that had been rewarded with their own land and their own right.
Yeah,
and so they had become citizen farmers, kind of. And they have been. Many of these families have been doing it for generations, and so their younger kids would go off and fight for the Tsar, and they would come back home and then take up more land. And so they were actually fairly efficient farmers. Well, then when you kick people out of the city and tell them go farm, what the hell do they know about farming?
Goddamn, you gotta be careful about communism because every time you employ it, it's going to be a Zimbabwe 2.0, bro.
So if a zombie apocalypse happened, I say I got about a month. I ran out of food and I'm dead. Sorry, Survival Man didn't prepare me for this shit.
Just imagine how long it would take for a communist country to collapse in a zombie apocalypse. Probably not even a day.
Yeah.
Hey guys, did you notice that the corpses that were starving and dead on the floor are now walking and moving?
And
are you sure? Well, this always happens. What makes this one special? This guy has 2 bullets. His organs are on the ground. So that's happened before. But, God damn it, just believe me.
Just imagine it's just like the communists see like a bunch of zombies and they fucking put like a tag on it that says true communist comrade.
Oh no, that's what happened. Guys, I want you to remember, they may be undead, but they are equal.
Why can't you people be more like them? They are true. They
are good workers, God damn it, they never tire.
God.
They are the best fucking workers we have ever seen. See, this guy's been at it for 2 fucking years. God, I feel so encouraged, and I'm gonna throw somebody down this fucking wall. Here, get over here, John. I feel like Stalin would do that.
No,
take his clothes.
That would have been Mikhail.
Yeah.
He was Stalin's executioner.
Yeah.
And then became leader of the Soviet Union when Stalin died.
Oh yeah. And then then Hungary said "fuck you" and they staged a little protest.
Oh yeah.
You know, one thing I love about history? Everyone's always afraid of the communists, but if you ever look at history, they were really incompetent on every front.
Oh yeah,
yep, the Winter War. The Winter War. The fucking what was it? The Finland? Didn't Finland kick their ass?
Yeah. Oh yeah, Winter War.
Matter of fact, they kicked their ass so bad that they invented the Molotov cocktail and they named it after General Molotov.
Yeah.
And then Yuri Deguri, I think it was Yuri Deguri, got like 587 sniper kills and 280
Wasn't it like
kills.
The casualties of the Russians? Weren't there like 200,000 or something?
Yeah, something really big. A matter of fact, it's rumored that in that conflict, the soldiers were pursuing some fleeing Finnish armies, and they stopped pursuing them just to eat their food.
Oh wow.
Yeah, that's how bad the Soviet Union.
Yeah, they had like 2 weeks.
To give it to its credit, at the end of the Second World War, they were one of the biggest armies that were ever perceived. They blitzkrieged across to, and this was after the winter, and
they rolled through Poland.
Yeah, and then they had like 16 million plus men in their armies, and they were like one of the most industrialized forces. And then plus, I think it was General Zhukov, if I'm not mistaken. He had one of the most, let's say, he was one of the most efficient generals of the war. And He was so good that a lot of people are now arguing that Hitler and his oil was one of the biggest reasons why he invaded the Soviet Union. So when Zhukov found this out, and he burned the oil fields. He burned it so well that the generals of the German army commented on how well he implemented this torture policy.
Yeah.
Well, guys, I know I've got another live stream I'm going to be headed to here in a little bit.
Okay.
Well, take care, brother.
Well, we still got a few minutes. It's just I know I just got a notice about it going up here shortly.
Well,
is it the chaos stream or?
Yeah, it's the chaos stream. It's going to be coming up here in a little bit.
Do you think you can send me a link to it once we're done here?
Yeah. Can you send me a link?
Well, let me double check with the host tonight because I'm not the host tonight. If I was, I'd just send you guys the link. But
all right, yeah.
They moved me to hosting. They moved me to hosting Monday because Burnside can't host Mondays anymore.
Yeah.
And so we're shuffling everybody around, and we're gonna reschedule everything and get it working again. Okay. So tonight it's actually going to be Tara Sin hosting on a temporary one, and so I'm going to have to check with her if she's willing to let you guys come in. I don't think it'll be a huge problem, but I got to ask first.
Okay.
All right.
I figured the one thing we could go over last.
Let me take a piss. I'll be right back.
Okay.
Is the good God above stuff and his stupid stuff.
Wait, what?
I have some things that
I'll be right back.
Hold on. I'm going to screen share as soon as I can find it. Okay. Screen share. Okay. Can everyone see?
I can see.
Okay. Well, first off, there was this thing where I had tweeted out because on Facebook I found that the good God above shared this thing where he said, when you're almost done picking teams in gym class, and it was like, really, you're going to be comparing Trump to Kim Jong-un.
Yep.
And they literally think he's a dictator. I've seen people commenting on stuff saying Trump is, well, they basically say Trump is a dictator. They really actually believe this. And I tweeted this to the Good God Above's thing on Facebook and some other places. And I took a meme, an old meme that I found that someone, I guess, on the left made. If you weren't shot in the face for calling your president a Marxist dictator, then he's probably not a Marxist dictator. And then they compare Trump to Kim Jong-un. Like, at least have some consistency.
Yep.
Hey, listen, at the end of the day, Kim Jong-un will never have Trump's good looks, his money, or his fame. As he would tell his what was the people who dressed like him.
Okay,
or Navanka.
And here's the other thing. Trump is much more comfortable with murderous dictators than he is with democratic presidents.
What the fuck?
And so then I retweeted his thing. So you're complaining that Trump may get something done about North Korea. The complete idiocy with that guy.
Hey guys, I was just gonna check the World War III page, and it hasn't happened.
Yeah. Neither has World War Z either.
God damn it, that would have been a good one.
Yep. Well,
Yeah,
to be fair, man, I'm still prepping for World War Z, so I wanted to give us another year. I've got another 5,000 rounds of ammo to make.
All right. I'll be trying to find Brad Pitt.
Screw that, man. I'm just gonna hold up on my mountaintop and make sure they can't get me.
Yeah. I'm gonna find some kid named Carl. Carl.
All right, I think that's all. I think that's all I had left. Does anyone else have final thoughts?
I think that people follow their delusions. I don't think people want to think about reality objectively. And people like ideas that sound nice and pretty. They like their football team, and they will follow that idea into oblivion.
Mountain, do you have any final thoughts?
I think that we are under the Chinese curse, living in interesting times.
What about you, Cass? You there?
Cass.
Fuck, did the Koreans get him?
Sorry, I'm back. Antifa's being shifty, but they can't get this fucks yet.
Dude, we thought the DPRK got you, and they were going to be roasting you because they ain't got no meat.
Yeah, as if they can catch a foxy fox.
Okay, so you have any final thoughts
on this?
Anything?
No, nothing too much. I'll just say that I think this is kind of at least in a good direction so far. Of course, there's no guarantees, and there shouldn't be assumptions that there should be. It's foolish to do that, but at least things are going in the right direction from what I can tell. And I just love the fact that Democrats are so completely head over heels obsessed with Donald Trump, to the point that they're literally trying to justify war as an alternative to the situation. But nah, Donald Trump's the warmonger. His supporters are the warmonger. Yeah, sure.
Just ask Bill Maher. He wants the economy to crash.
Oh yeah. Well, dude, to be fair, I've been hearing from the leftists up here in the Portland area that after every Republican president, we have a major recession. And I looked at them when they said that, and I was just dumbfounded because the last major recession prior to the one in 2008 was under Clinton. The one before that was under Carter. The one before that was under LB frickin' J. And I'm just looking at them, and
it's like, nigga,
really? Did you not read history?
No, they probably haven't. They probably read like their own like echo chamber revisionist version of it.
Yeah, and like fucking Hitler traveled into the future and donned a wig and orange skin.
All right.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I think that's we've have all today. Anyone else has anything they want to say?
I just have one more thing, and it's of absolutely importance. All right?
Okay.
I need to go report this to my North Korean overlords.
All right. Now let's do some outros. Let's start with Putsa.
I'm 18 Putsa, and you can find me on the All Purpose channel. Please support it, as I will continue to grow both my group and my channel.
Yeah, go follow his group and his channel. He has a great group that you can post anything on minds.com, and also he has a cool channel where he posts art and stuff.
Yeah, like this pretty guy you see here. He's fraud.
All right, Mountain.
Well, I'm Veteran Mountain Man. I'm one of the hosts from Chaos 120. I'm up on Minds, Gab, Twitter, BitChute. You can find me just about anywhere.
All right, Cass.
I'm Kaz Warfox, and I don't really have any real content as of yet, but yeah, I do some politics and gaming when I get to that.
Dude, you do some dank memes too.
Yeah, on Twitter, and I give people a lot of shit, which is funny.
Yeah,
especially leftist types. They just they can't resist getting fucked by the fox.
And your Bernie Sanders impersonation.
Socialism is great, guys. Venezuela is a good example of socialism.
How dare these people think that they can run an economy? Shouldn't you know the government has this down? God damn it! Don't you read history? Look at
socialism's great. Now let me go all the way to my rich houses I just bought there now.
All right. And my name is Rational Outlaw, as you know. And subscribe to my channel here. You can also follow me on minds.com at Mr. Rational Outlaw. Or you can also find me on Twitter, Facebook, Tumblr, BitChute, DeviantArt, a bunch of different places. And I do mostly political / social commentary videos. So if you want to watch those, you can go ahead and watch them on my YouTube channel or many of the other platforms that I have. You can also support me on Maker Support and Patreon and Ko-fi. You can also buy some of my merch. I have now a merch store. So if you're interested in maybe some merch, you can go to my store. So all
Made
those
in
links
China.
will be down below. I'll probably have to edit though this stream to put them in. And yeah, so if you're interested, go to all that different stuff. And this is Russian Outlaw. You've been watching Arnen, and I'll see y'all later.